Welcome everybody to another edition of W 2006 here in W9. Halloween Havoc is over, and now we're on to the road to Bound for Glory and Starrcade. We start with a Halloween Havoc recap video as we're live in front of 10,000 people in Roanoke, Virginia, and we focuses on big things from Halloween Havoc, including the War Games cage ascendings, an ankle locking in the ankle lock on Sean O'Hare, Sharpe smirking as Hernandez levels Booker, Kiana Khaos attacks Joanie Laurer, Riddle up into AJ Styles goes to war, Don Fry gets 5-star to hell, Donovan Brown hits the second pounce on Judas Macias. Eddy Guerrero, AJ tackling Eddie as he comes in cash in, and then Monty pouncing both men and standing tall with the WCW World title on the outside of the ring while AJ and Eddie recover. And this opening video gets a 72. Then we get a short little Anderson and Eddy hype package going over, of course, what's the word I'm looking for here? Going over the, the big Anderson making Alex right quick. Anderson confronting, Eddie about his tactics. Eddie's big ring buster on Anderson on the stage a couple weeks back. And of course, Anderson's promo as we hype up the big match for later tonight of Ken Anderson versus Eddy Guerrero, which gets a 75. Then we go to ring for our opening match for the Cruiserweight Championship, which gets a 74. As Xavier Creed takes on Ray Gordy. Back and forth match as you expect. Gordy does some brawling, some power stuff to stand tall, but Xavier Creed fights back. But eventually what happens is basically Xavier Creed hits a big dive to knock down both Gordy and Xavier Creed. Or, knocks down both him and Jamie Noble. But as all three men recover, as, Ray Gordy is rolling in the ring, and, Jamie Noble chop blocks Xavier Creed, and Gordy gets the countout win over the Cruiserweight champion here at Nitro. Russell rating of 65, crowding of 64, over rating of 74. Xavier gets a 65, Gordy gets a 65 himself. Good stuff as this feud must continue. And post-match, Gordy holds the title up, then throws it down on Xavier, and exits to the boos of the crowd. And then we move forward on Nitro as we go backstage, as Junior Borash is with Sonny Siaki, as, Borash asks him about the TV title match tonight. And, Siaki says, let me make something real clear from the jump, Borash. Sonny Siaki doesn't sweat Lance Storm. Sonny Siaki doesn't get nervous. And Sonny Siaki, sure as hell, doesn't get surprised when people like Lance Storm want what Sonny Siaki has. Because this, as he pats the TV title, is proof of greatness. This is proof of elevation. This is proof when you talk about the face of television wrestling in 2006, you say one name, Sonny Siaki. And if Lance Storm is unhappy about not getting a title shot exactly when he wants, he needs to get a life. Maybe he can go tutor math or teach people how to be boring in the back, because in this business, Siaki is the one people they see, not Captain Canadian Cold Front, not Mr. Make Believe. The difference between Siaki and Lance Storm is real simple. Siaki is the future, Siaki charisma, Siaki is championship material. Storm, he is chopped from the past, footnote material. So tonight, Sonny Siaki will do what Sonny Siaki does best. When you see, Storm's been in the gym doing neck bridges and wish locks, while Sonny Siaki has been being Sonny Siaki, training smarter, looking fresher, looking better tonight. He walks in champion and walks out champion again. 51, not a bad promo. This feud hasn't been the hottest, but still solid stuff as we build up Siaki and Storm going on to their TV title match later tonight. Then we go backstage for a more interesting moment as, okay. Yeah, I tried throwing some big gambles I had and stuff that didn't really matter, but it still wasn't the end of the world. Anyway, Eric Bischoff is in his office, and the Nitro general manager is surprised when Matt Sydal walks in. And, Bischoff says, basically, speak of the devil, what are you doing here tonight? And Sydal's like, well, I realized something. I'm not going to sit back and licks his wounds. Yeah, I lost US title, but I think I want to get back in the ring and prove why I've been the champion in every division in this company so far. So I don't want to tune up. I don't want to bring my match. I want to make a statement. And I was like, okay, you want to make a statement? Fine. You want to climb back to the mountain? I get that, but this is Nitro, not therapy. And Sydal was like, I want Jacob. And Bischoff is almost laughing and says, wait, you want Jacob? The same guy who's been tearing through people like they owe money? That Jacob, the guy who took out Goldberg? So I was like, yes, I know who he is. He's intimidation, all that stuff, but I also know who I am. If I'm going to start climbing again, I want to take the hardest path up. But I was like, you want Jacob next week, you got him. But don't come crying to me when you're laid on the mat. Because this is not a good idea, Matt. And Matt's like, no, Eric, it's what I need you to do. And Sydal leaves, and Bischoff's like, well, the kid's got guts, or he wants some time off. 60, again, not the best because the angle failed, but still, Bischoff's not bad. And, got to build up stuff. And we come back from commercial as Ken Anderson is backstage all on his own. And, Anderson says, let me get this straight one last time. A couple weeks ago, I'm left laying at the top of the stage with my head cracked against steel thanks to Eddy Guerrero's little brain buster. And apparently, that was supposed to be the enemy. That was supposed to be my big exclamation point. Stay down, right? That's what you thought, huh, Eddy? Really? Well, guess what? I don't stay down. I get up. I keep getting up because I'm just the a-hole. I'm the a-hole. And whether the fans love me or hate me, they'll know one thing. I show up to fight. So congratulations. You knocked me down, but you did knock me out. And now we're doing this on my terms, on my show, in my ring. And all that Guerrero family values BS, all that legacy I'm going to rank the world tonight, the Guerrero name ain't bulletproof. So you keep walking around here like you're owed something, like the world and this company should bend over backwards because you had a few classics, because you had a few titles, because you got a last name that you think still matters more than it really does. Do you think that briefcase makes you untouchable? No. That briefcase is just a crutch now. Reminder that you don't want to earn anymore. You want to shortcut your way back to the top because you're still sad over what happened years ago. Tonight, there's no briefcase, no shortcuts, no excuses for this you and me in that damn ring, Eddy. So, you drop me on your head, that's fine. I'll drop you on yours. And when your back is flat on the mat, staring straight at the lights when it happened, I want you to remember something. That this lesson, this match, this beatdown, didn't come from some old school passed down wisdom. It came from a loudmouth punk with a mic and a purpose. It came from a guy who doesn't need legacy to prove he belongs here. The guy who doesn't need a last name to be remembered. It came from a guy who's kicked down every damn door, flipped every table, and talked enough trash to fill every box set for the next 10 years. It came from Ken Anderson. See you tonight, Holmes. Good promo, not the best ever, but still really good promo as we build up the main event later tonight. Next up, we got a big 4-woman tag team match as, we have new women's tag team champions after Halloween Havoc. And, back and forth match, everybody, gets their spots in. And so we got Trish Sky and Lacey Doos, of course, came back last week. Gail Kim and Millie Osaka, who've got the big win over Captivation, and, Leah's, debuted a few weeks back, and now teaming up with Gail Kim. Captivation, of course, trying to get back on a winning streak. And Lana Vez and Ronnie Jonah, who are here. So, solid match, but in the end, what happens is actually, there's a miscommunication as Penny Grable, basically tries to get, Lexi to go in and save Desiree Dawkins. We had a bit of a back and forth confusion spot, and Mihasaki is able to nail Desiree Dawkins with a Rana right in the middle of the ring and pick up the pinfall win here on Nitro, as in a little over 10 minutes. They get the win here. WrestleMania of 62, crowd rating of 51, Sigma rating of 75. Mihasaki gets a 68, Gail Kim gets a 73, Dumas gets a 62, Trisha gets a 70, Lexi gets a 58, Dawkins gets a 56, Lila gets a 56, and Ronnie Jonah gets a 52. Creative finish this time did work, so we got that going for us. And he has a hot new move, so we got that going for us. So, fun stuff. Then post-match, of course, Captivation argue after the match, and that eventually leads to Lexi walking out on Penny Grable, as Grable is pissed inside the ring. So it seems like there's more increasing problems in Captivation. Then we're backstage as Jeremy Borash is with the Fallen Angel, as, basically, asks Monty to save Shelton Benjamin. And Fallen Angel says that redemption does not come easy, Jeremy. You see, every soul that walks this earth carries a burden of choice. Decisions we make, the pain we cause, the we leave behind. For years, I walked the path of destruction. I followed shadows. I came one the darkness. But that path, as all roads do, lead to a dead end. And I chose to turn around. I chose a different way. And last week, I saw a man on the verge. A man who's ready to commit the very act, wants to find me. A man who believes, who knows he's been overlooked, disrespected, and tossed aside. And in the moment, as Alex Wright stood with that chair, ready to break bones, ready to end careers, I saw myself. I didn't save Alex Wright for his sake. I saved him for mine, because if I could just pull one back from the ledge, keep him from making any mistake I did, maybe I could take a step closer to peace. And Boris tries to interject, but Fallen Angel says, look, Alex Wright is building connection, a gifted wrestler. Right now he's lost. Blinded by pride, poisoned by resentment. That's why here my path to redemption runs through him. And now we see if Das Wunderbar can be saved. 69, decent promo, building up the feud here. And then we're backstage as the Truth is in enters Bischoff's office, and Kanyon is like, all right, I waited enough. I'm done playing games. Where is Tomko? And Bischoff's like, good evening to you too, Ron. Now, what do you want? Come on. And Trish's like, don't give me that pervert smirk, Eric. I'm here for playing trees. I'm here for Titus Tomko. I want that discount bodyguard in the ring. I want him one-on-one. You saw what he did. You saw what he said. Hell, everyone did. Now, last few months have not been great for me, Eric. I've been getting jumped in parking lots. I've been getting tossed in rivers. I have people try to end my careers over and over again this year. But I'm still here, still talking, and now that Tomko thinks he's the next big monster unseen, no, I want him. No sneak attacks, no beatdowns, no brawls in the back. I want a damn match right in the ring. And I was like, I get it. I really do, but if you just slow down and let me speak. And she's like, then speak. But I was like, you want Tomko? Good, because that's what I've been here forever lately. You want to shot someone. And I thought, Eric, how do you take all these movie pieces, all this tension, and make something into a must-see event? So I made some calls, and later tonight, I'm going to announce something big, something game-changing. Trust me when I say you'll get your answer. You'll get your time with Tomko in the ring. Until then, sit tight and stay ready. And the truth says, you better give me one, Eric, or you'll be ready for the truth. 75, not bad, as basically we have a big announcement from Eric later tonight. Angle rolled well, so that's positive. And then we have a chosen backstage promo, as, they're a bit backstage, as, Don Vine says, Tank is really funny. And Tolan's like, what's that, Johnny? Every single week, we walk into the arena, talking better, dressing better, wrestling better, than every single team locker room. And every single week, all we hear is, what about this team? What about that team? What about America's Most Wanted? And then Divine King saying, you think those rejects invented tag team wrestling the way people talk about them? Tone steps and says, they can invent it, they can refine it. All they've done is ride a little trail of nostalgia straight to the top. Where, guys like us put in the work, the sweat, the pain, the sacrifice. And what's our reward? 2 matches, a match against 2 guys past their prime, including the idea that good old days still matter. And, Divine says we're not simply chosen by fate, we're chosen by reality. We are what happens when talent, charisma, and intelligence get fused together into something undeniable. And, he says, Storm Harris, you want to come out there and try to burn it back one more time? Go ahead. You see, you've had your time in this division the last 5 years. Well, this is our time now. And you want to try to stop us? Be our guest. But when the bell rings and your act gets shattered by the brutal recruits and away from you, just remember one thing. You had your time, now it's ours. And then Tolan steps in and says, because we're not here to compete, we're not here to win. We're here to take this division, this company, and this damn industry because we are chosen. Not bad promo as we build up things for the big tag match later tonight. And then we have our big TV title match, as it's back and forth match, but eventually what you expect happens. As, Siaki gets a little bit cocky, Storm fights back, and eventually, Sonny Siaki goes for the big shoulder breaker, Siaki rolls him up, and, Storm, Siaki goes to wallop him with the TV title, no dice, super kick, locks in Canadian Maple Leaf, and with nowhere to go, Lance Storm wins the TV title once again. Solid match, WrestleMania of 62, crowding of 64, overriding of 72. Siaki gets a 64, Lance Storm gets a 69. Yeah, honestly, not the, I don't say the best little feud ever, but there's a little fun little undercard stuff as we move things here on Nitro. I was originally going to have Siaki keep the belt here, but Storm would look like such a geek if he did. And plus, I've got some IDs now with Siaki and Riley, at least in the short term, nothing too major long term, but we'll see how they do together. But anyway, Storm celebrates with the TV title, do a 34, because, well, he's Lance Storm, so he wants to see him celebrate about anything. But then we're backstage as basically, Shelton Benjamin walks up to, Fallen Angel backstage and says, look, man, I just want to say thanks for last week. Wright, tried to take me out last week, and you came out there and helped save him, and you didn't hesitate. I appreciate that. And, Fallen Angel's like, you earned your victory, Shelton. I wasn't going to let someone, rob you of that. And Shelton's like, I don't know what's going on between you. Honestly, I don't need to. I always like to have your work twice hard to get half the credit, so we know what we're trying to do. Redemption, revenge, whatever. You got hell of a more class than Wright ever will. And then walks, of course, Alex Wright, and he says, touching, really. So-called Fallen Angel and so-called Gold Gem sound together like you've accomplished something, like you've earned anything. Let me remind you both of anything. Shelton, you might have gotten lucky last week, but luck is fleeting. Ray Lapan is going to put you back in your place, and then you'll see that your win over me was just a fluke. And you, I know what this little crusade is all about. Let me make one thing clear. I'm not some soul to be saved. I'm not some fool in need of your spiritual intervention. You can wear your symbols. You can talk about you can quote some scripture, but it means nothing when you're in the ring with me. There's no magic that you do from the mat. No divine guides to help you counter a suplex or escape an STF. And Fallen Angel says, we'll see about that. And then he knocks right turn Shelton says, Shelton, you're nothing but a talented child playing in a gross world. You'll never be the best wrestler in the world because that title belongs to me, always has, and always will. And Fallen Angel steps up and says, you confused bitterness with greatness, right? I know where this all ends. And I said, of course you should. Standing tall, standing tall, the rest of you fade into the background. Try not to embarrass yourself too badly, gentlemen. And he walks out. And there we go. 83, good stuff. Basically, setting up that, Sean thanks him, does a little push for the U.S. title match happening next week, and then Alex Wright, doing Alex Wright things. Shelton thanking TFA gets an 80, Wright coming in gets an 84. Good stuff. And then we have a backstage promo as Eddy is, backstage on his own. And, Eddy says, it's funny. Funny how quickly people forget. A few years ago, when I came back, it was the biggest moment of my career, and it was a sign this company was ready to compete again. But I'm not here to take a victory laugh. I'm here to remind all of you to show that I still am the man who walked back into WCW and immediately went back to the top. See, this right here, as he calls it, it's called shot. This is in contract as a reminder. A reminder that no matter how much you want to talk about the so-called new generation, no matter how many people walk through that curtain and talk about the future, there's one name that still runs this damn show, and the name is Eddy Guerrero. See, Anderson, you wanted to fight. You wanted to come back from that little nap I gave you 2 weeks ago and act like you're still in control, that you're still the one setting the pace, that because you have the mic and some catchphrases, you think saying your name louder than anybody else gives you the right to step to me. Let me make something perfectly clear, Holmes. You're not stepping to a man, you're stepping to a Guerrero, you're stepping to a legacy, you're stepping to half the reason. You're stepping to the reason half these punks in the back even have the nerve to lace up a pair of boots and pretend they belong in the same ring I built with blood, sweat, and lies. So now we can start people bring us on a ramp. You think that makes you some kind of coward, some kind of punk, Ken? No, that makes me smart. I looked at you and I saw a man bleeding you to believe their own hype. I mean, you thought beating Alex Wright and talking trash on the mic made him ready for the big leaders, but you're not ready. So Chico, you got balls, I'll give you that. But Coney's don't make you smart, they make you tough, and the Shizzles don't make you great. I earned this every damn step of the way, from the ladder match, and everything before and everything after. Everybody thought they could take my spot. They're all looking at me meow. This briefcase, this is leverage, this is power. This means I walk into any arena I want, tap Monty Brown on the shoulder, and say it's time. But you think I'm going to waste any more time on you, Anderson, after tonight? I didn't come to Nitro tonight for you. I came Nitro to remind every single person who watched Havoc, who saw me step back in that ring, who saw me punk AJ Styles, who saw me walk out with Monty Sydal. I came here to show all of them that I still am the most important man in professional wrestling. And if Ken Anderson wants to pretend he belongs in my world, then I'll send him right back to his. So, I'm going to step in that ring tonight. I'm going to pick you apart, Anderson, not because I have to, not because I need to prove any damn thing, but because you asked for this. You begged for this. You want to go one-on-one with the best wrestler on the planet? Then get ready, Cup on, because the lights are on, the world is watching. I'm going to give you the promotion of lifetime, and I'm going to lay your ass out, face down, down on the mat, just like last time. And if you're lucky, you might be conscious long enough to hear the crowd chant my name. Not yours. Viva la raza. 886, really good promo as we build things up. Then I believe, yeah, we have our tag team title, not tag team title, number one contenders match. Really good match. Basically back and forth, like this is a very Southern style match. Chris Harris plays, face in peril. Storm gets a hot tag, things break down again. But eventually, Storm Harris is, get the advantage. Divine tries to hit the Divine intervention late. Storm gets out of it, hits the big super kick, hits the 8-second ride. Harris stops Tolan from interfering. 1, 2, 3. Americans want to get the big one here on Nitro. Wrestle rating of 81, crowd rating of 75, all rating of 79. Storm gets an 84, Harris gets an 85, Tolan gets a 90, Divine gets a 67. Storm is looking stale, so let me note that. But yeah, good match. Unfortunately, Tolan's a little wasted. Him and Lipan are the weird two guys who've gotten super over here. But regardless, good win, and they, they're now be part of the Bound for Glory tag title match. Then post-match, Chosen go after AMW. But what happens is basically, AMW, take advantage. Harris tosses Harris tosses Tolan, Divine to the outside, and then Tolan eats a death sentence to really put the exclamation part here, as this gets a 66. And this is sort of like the blow off the angle, as AMW are going to be going into the tag title seed for the next month, and then after that, Chosen are also off doing their own thing. But, fun little thing here to sort of like really put an exclamation point and make the Chosen look like, sort of the dickhead heels they are. And then we're backstage as Jeremy Rush has caught up with Penny Grable, as, or especially, catches up with her and says, like, look, I gotta ask you what we all just saw out there during the women's 4-way tag. Like, James walked out on you and Desiree Dawkins. The two of you were visibly arguing. And, Penny Grable interrupts says, Jeremy, don't go spreading rumors like some high school gossip columnist, okay? And we're like, Lexi literally walked away. And he's like, sometimes people need space. That's all this is. Have you ever been in a tag team before? Have you ever been part of the most successful women's stable in this company? You ever tried creating 3 strong, confident women, all with big personalities and big goals? And Boris tries to respond, but gets cut off. Exactly. Now, I didn't think so. Look, we're competitors. We're not work captivation. We're the standard in this division, Borash, and sometimes when you're striving for greatness, things get a little tense. And again, Borash is tense is one thing. She flat out abandoned you guys. And, points out Desiree looks just confused. And he's like, Desiree is emotional. She got fire. I respect that. That's why she's part of captivation. Lexi, she's passionate. And how happens when you care that much. But look, nobody's 100% perfect. Some of the best tag teams in the world, some of the best stables have had their moments of issues. Oh no, someone walked away after a tag match. The sky is falling. Relax, Jeremy. Captivation's fine. We're just fine. But sooner or later, we'll come back because we are captivating and we are the standard in this division. And Jeremy's like, okay, so you're saying there's no split happening? And Penny's like, I'm saying if Lexi James has something to say to me, she knows where to find me, and she doesn't, well, maybe that's tell us everything we need to know. So, captivation is fine, folks. Now we're backstage as Eric Bischoff is with backstage in his office, and he basically says, sometimes in this business things just sort of happen. We didn't plan it, we didn't put it in stone, it wasn't some big corporate strategy or buzzword cooked up by marketing, it just worked. Over the last couple of years, the road for Bound for Glory and Stars is doing something special. A spotlight just not on the stars but some stars you're just getting to know. The hungry ones, the underdogs, the guys who haven't tasted the gold at the top of the mountain. That's why, of course, last year and the year before, we ended up with the tradition where one wrestler from Nitro and one wrestler from Revolution, who have never held the world title, take on the world champion in a triple threat match at Bound for Glory. And you know what? The formula works so damn well, so I say if it ain't broke it, don't fix it. Now, I don't know what Teddy Long's doing on his show, aside that we've agreed that it needs to go on. But so next week on Nitro, we're keeping that tradition alive. We're going to find Nitro's challenger for Monty Brown for Bound for Glory, and we're going to do it in a way that, quite frankly, I think nobody else has done before. And how is that going to be? Perez Incredibles. That's right, a little lucha flavor. For those of you who don't know what that means, let me clue you in. It's when enemies, rivals, people who just don't plan like each other have to team up, and they have to coexist, whether they like it or not. And next week, right here on Nitro, is going to be the Truth and Titus Tomko taking on Alex Wright and the Fallen Angel. And now the reason why they won't immediately turn on each other is pretty simple. The winning team, next week they'll face each other one-on-one, and the winner goes to the Bound for Glory main event. So men, all 4 of you, you want opportunity, there it is. No more whining, no more complaining, no more management holds me down speeches that everybody has heard way too often for the past decade. If you want to be in the biggest match of your career, you better earn it, because I'm not handing title shots like Halloween candy. So Truth, Tomko, Wright, Fallen Angel, it's time to prove it. Fun stuff, 75, just a basic backstage promo, but setting things up for next week. Then we have our Revolution recap, focusing, of course, on the big tag match last week. And then we have our main event, 92, so not quite the 99, which I'm going to guess was just a combination of a much hotter show, but still a really good match. Eddy gets a 90, Ken Anderson gets a 83, and basically, this is a back and forth just fight between two men who absolutely despise each other. But eventually, Eddy is able to hit a big brainbuster. Not brainbuster, we're setting that up. Hits a Blue Thunder bomb through a chair, and then is able to, get Anderson into condition, hit the frog splash, put his foot on the ropes, get Eddy Guerrero, and get the pinfall victory here on Nitro. And post-match, what happens is, Eddy goes outside of the ring and pulls up the ring apron and finds a steel chair. And as the crowd boos, he measures Anderson. As he's waiting for Anderson to stand, Anderson drags himself to his feet. Eddy moves, but Anderson slashes out with a big, running knee to knock him down. Eddy comes back with a move of his own, doubling over. He picks Anderson up for the brainbuster, but Anderson drops his feet behind. He shoves Eddy into the ropes. Anderson goes for the mic check, but Eddy rakes his eyes. Eddy stumbles backward, blinking, blinded. Eddy grabs the chair again. Boom, right across Anderson's back. And then Anderson picks him up, and he's going to drill him absolutely with a brainbuster on the chair. But out of nowhere, to a huge pop, comes AJ Styles, coming out of the crowd again, going after Eddy. They fight, he tackles, he sends Anderson over the top rope, then huge plancha over the top rope, taking Eddy out. And the big old fight continues. He throws Eddy, AJ sends Eddy back against the barricade. AJ staggers, signing wildly. AJ ducks. Boom, Pele kick. Eddy drops. And then, Styles grabs Eddy, whips him towards the ropes. Eddy reverses. AJ hops on the steps. Big springfall moonsault onto Eddy, onto the floor. Both men are down. Eventually, the officials, referees, and everybody else comes down to break things up. And then we get a big old, pull apart brawl as the announcers put everything up. And this post-match stuff gets an 86. So, Eddy attacking gets an 84, AJ coming out getting an 80, AJ hits the big plancha gets 74, and the pull-apart gets an 82. So, overall, the show itself gets us an 87. Okay. So, yeah, not that one, 90-plus promo, unfortunately, but still a very good show. 1.5 million. Hurrah, we gained some popularity everywhere. Hurrah. So, yeah. This Josh Allen's another kid. Do you think he'll ever come to anything? But yeah, fun show. Again, sort of like post pay-per-view malaise. Not the malaise, but sort of like post pay-per-view, putting everything in situation. You notice that it's always post shows. A failure. Oof. Ah, come on. Anyway, Test Janiqua. Okay. Triple H is fully fit. Tessa's argument. Maven. Dude, bad idea. To piss off, sort of the guy here. Let's see here. Lots of stuff. Okay. So, what did Raw do? Raw got an 84. We had, let's see here. Carnival defeat Matt Classic. Molly Holloway and Shaniqua defeat Amber James and Angel Oscura. Randy Orton defeat Joey Matthews. CM Punk defeat Devon Boy. Adam Jacobs and Leonardo Michael Murray in a 76. JBL defeat Test by DQ. And The Undertaker and Chris Jericho defeat Vampiro and the Gladiator by DQ at an 89. Interesting. But yeah, we'll be back in just a moment with Revolution. And, continue things from there for the Havoc Fallout. And welcome everybody to Revolution, live from Cookeville, Tennessee, in front of 10,000 people at the Evelyn Center, I guess. And we start with the same highlight video from Nitro, so basically literally the same thing, so just go back and listen to that. That gets a 74. And then Teddy Long's music hits, and out comes the Revolution general manager down to the ring. And he, takes the mic and says, "Hold on, playa. You see, at Halloween Havoc, Revolution brought it, no doubt. We saw champions rise, alliances fall, and most importantly, we saw people step in and deliver. Now I heard what Eric Bischoff said in Nitro, talking about tradition, about crying number one contender, for Bound for Glory, for people who ain't never been world champion. I respect that. That's cool. We keep it real, some playa here on Revolution. Halloween Havoc, some folks had their moment, some folks got the job done. Even Teddy Long didn't exactly agree with how they did it, but hey, a win is a win. So let's get down to it. At the Bound for Glory match, the world title match is going to be a triple threat. Nitro going to send someone, Revolution going to send someone, and the third man is himself, Monty Brown. As for our side of things, two men have earned their way into tonight's main event because they won Halloween Havoc. Keenan Sharpe, you want to beat Booker T, even need help from a man the size of a small planet. And Cash, you pinned Chavo Guerrero in the middle of the ring, so like it or not, you two are in. But we ain't done yet. War Games. 4 men stepped into the cage and came out victorious. None of them have WCW World Champion. I'm talking about Paul London, Jack Evans, Matt Hardy, and Kurt Angle. Now you're thinking Kurt Angle's a gold medalist, a former champion somewhere else, but this ain't there. Playa, the WCW, he's never held that big gold belt, and that makes him eligible. So, those 4 men, whether it's Paul London, Jack Evans, Kurt Angle, or Matt Hardy, have a decision. 2 of you are going to be in a 4-way later tonight, and I want a decision about who is going to be those 2 names in that ring. So tonight it's going to be Keenan Sharpe, Cash, and 2 out of those 4 in a fatal 4-way, and the winner becomes the Revolution number 1 contender for the World Championship at Bound for Glory. And so whoever's getting that ring, you'll best to bring your A game, because only one of you is going to Bound for Glory. Holla holla. 86, really good promo, setting up the fatal 4-way later tonight. Then I believe we go to the ring for our opening match. Yes. Okay, so we have a big old wild triple threat match, which is, unofficially a number 1 contendership match, as we got all that Alyssa Alexander and Angel Foxx, 2 former women's tag team champions, Nikita Kalt, and they all get involved, and eventually European Union gets involved, and things break down, and the ref calls for the bell. Throwing this out as a no contest in about 10 minutes. We have a wrestling rating of 76, a crowd rating of 64, and an overall rating, segment rating of 74. All that Alyssa Alexander gets a 64, Nikita Kalt gets a 90 because she's great, and Angel Foxx gets a 75. And post-match, we get a bit of a fight between all 5 women, as this gets a 67, as it seems this feud is continuing. Then we go backstage, as Amy Weber is with Keenan Sharpe, as, Pete basically, asks them about, talked about the debut of, his new follower, and the way he used him to get the win over Booker T. But tonight, he's in the main event, so what's your mindset heading into tonight? And Sharpe says, "Do you hear that, Amy? The silence beneath the noise, the hum of change in the air, that's the sound of the path revealing itself. I told Booker T what would happen. I gave him clarity. I offered him peace. What did he do? He chose violence. He chose pride. He chose ignorance. So the Age of Enlightenment introduced him to consequence. But tonight, the next chapter begins. Tonight, the path widens, and as the darkness recedes, the light will reveal the truth. I am the man meant to guide WCW forward, no longer as a prophet in the shadows, but now as a champion leads this company into evolution. Cash, London, Angle, each of them represents a piece of the old order. Brash arrogance, flighty energy, broken patriotism, all flawed, all obsolete. I am clarity. I am that change. I'm the truth they refuse to see." And maybe I ask him what happened to Havoc. And Sharpe says, "Yes, my companion, a soul drift too long. He walks his past now, and in time he will be known. Not because of his strength, not because of his size, but because he saw what others could not. He saw the light. And all due time, the Age of Enlightenment doesn't demand obedience. It offers awakening. Tonight, when I win the main event, the world will be one step closer to awakening. The Alpha may rule the Serengeti, but tonight, the Alpha. But soon the Alpha will kneel before the path." 76, pretty good promo, setting up the fatal 4-way later tonight. Then we cut backstage, as basically we have Austin Aries, going into Teddy Long's office, and he says, "Teddy, we got to talk." And Teddy Long says, "What can I do for Playa?" And Aries is like, "What can you do for me? How about explain why I'm not in the number 1 contenders match?" And Austin Aries is like, "Oh, that's right, because you think Rey Mysterio beating me and Havoc is enough to keep the fastest rising star on Revolution off your precious main event." Teddy Long says, "Austin, Ray pinned you right in the middle of the ring. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a trick. You lost clean. I saw it. The fans saw it. And I say that makes it pretty clear." He's like, "Oh, come on. Mysterio's a relic in a nostalgia act. I'm building the future of this company. Revolution should be built around guys like Austin Aries. Let's be real. Paul and Jack Evans, come on. Great healthy stuff, sure, but World Title Contender is really Kurt Angle? He's old news, Teddy. You got me right here and you're wasting me." He's like, "First off, you better watch your mouth when you talk about legend like Kurt Angle or Rey Mysterio Jr. You feel me? Second, you want to prove you belong? You want to show that you're ready to hang with the top of the mountain here in Revolution? Well, there's someone else from that Revolution squad who ain't in that main event tonight. Someone who's afraid of their hands. So when I prove you're all that, you'll get your chance tonight. But tonight, it's going to be Austin Aries one-on-one with Kanyon." Big pop for that. And there's like, "Kanyon, huh? The guy thinks he's better than Ray? Yeah, all right. That's fine. I'll embarrass him like I should have embarrassed Ray. And after that, I want a real conversation about where I should be on this show, Teddy." He's like, "Fine. You get that win, we'll talk. But if you don't, well, you might want to find another ladder to climb." And Aries just leaves. And there we go. Setting up a match for later tonight, as this gets a 67. The actual Aries Teddy things at 65, then Teddy Hellman is going to be Ken gets a 71, so not bad. Then we have Kiana Khaos absolutely destroying Nikki Radcliffe in about 3 minutes. She hits the implant buster. Just a complete squash here, unfortunately, for the half of social scene. But we'll rebuild that tag team eventually. Just a bit of a usage here to get her over, as we get a wrestling rating of 57, a crowd rating of 43, and a segment rating of 51. Khaos gets a 53, Radcliffe gets a 61. And then post-match, Kiana Khaos takes the mic and speaks for the first time here on Revolution. Sorry, there we go. Where is it? And she takes the mic and says, "You feel that? That's not respect, that's not fear, that's reality setting in. See, for years y'all been fed a lie. You've been told Joanie Laurer is the measuring stick, that Joanie Laurer is one unstoppable force in women's wrestling, that she's the wall nobody can climb. That's crap. Joanie Laurer ain't unstoppable, she ain't unbeatable, she's just been the loudest, the most protected, most marketed, and now she's broken. Laid out in the middle of the ring, howling havoc, dropped like a sack of bricks after one swing of my arm. You know who I am now? The name's Kiana Khaos, you better remember it. Because from this moment forward, the little fairy tale's over. Joanie Laurer's days of throwing them around like she owns a place, those days are done. See, I've been all around this world looking for competition. I've been in Japan. That's where I tore through women who fight like their lives depend on it. And when I came back, I ran through developmental. I wrecked every single prospect they threw at me. And now I'm in Revolution. Not for fame, not for friends. I'm here for chaos. And let me make this very clear. If you think you're the baddest in the game, I'm testing that. I don't care who you are. Your time's up. Chaos is here. 46, not bad, considering she's not that over as we're building things up. Then we cut backstage where we basically have all the baby faces, backstage talking. Things are a little bit tense, but not too bad. As Matt Hardy finally looks around and says, you all know why I stepped up. When Tony got thrown to that window, I wasn't going to let those punks roll in the Havoc. Then go just wipe their boots on our backs and War Games. Thus making sure Revolution stayed our show, so I stepped in, I threw down. But this Bound for Glory title shot, it ain't mine to take. I did my part. Time to step back. And Jagger says, respect for real. You showed up in a lot, and you balled out at War Games. But you're saying you're on a mix. Then says that we need to figure out this right way. And Paul's like, let's be honest. Last year I was in that Bound for Glory title match. I gave everything I had, came up that close. I can't say I didn't dream about getting back there, finishing when I started. But then I think about everything Jack's been through that year. Going through all the thrillers, taking more beatings than any of us. That's, so yeah, this year it's got to be you, Jack. And Jack's like, cool, I don't know what to say, man. You sure? And I was like, 100%. And Jack says that, I guess that it's me. And he looks over career angle, you bet, man. And Jack says, look, I know you're a gold medalist. I know you've done it all. But I've been fighting to prove I belong to the top. From me looked as just another flippy kid, to being dismissed as Bach Monkey, and now I was the guy people thought didn't deserve to be here. Now I'm the guy sitting in front of you, one match away from Bound for Glory. I beat Eddy Guerrero last year at Starrcade. You saw it, everyone did. I shocked the world once already, and maybe I can do it again. And Curtis says, you beat Eddy Guerrero? I'll give you that. But you're not standing across from Eddy Guerrero this time. You're standing across from Kurt Frank Angle, and I'll get shocked. I don't get surprised. I win. Then he begins to walk off. See you out there, Jack. 81, not bad, as, some of these guys are not the best promo guys, but we get our 4 guys, which means it's going to be Cash versus Jack Evans versus Kurt Angle versus Keenan Sharpe later tonight on Revolution. 71 and 83 for the 2 parts. Cool. Then we come back from backstage from the commercial, and Paul Heyman is with Rob Van Dam. And Paul Heyman's like, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And last night, you saw at Home Havoc, you saw what happened when we handle business. See, at Home Havoc, there are questions, there are doubts, there are little whispers in the corner of the locker room. Is Rob Van Dam still the guy? Can he bounce back? And what happened? What happens would always happen when the lights are the brightest. Rob Van Dam delivered. He stepped out in the ring at Halloween Havoc, one-on-one against a man who wanted to take him out. A man who was bred for combat, a fighter, mercenary, human wrecking ball. And guess what happened? He's gone. No chair, no weapons, no excuses, just skill, precision, athleticism, awareness, experience, confidence. Rob Van Dam. And now that Don Frye's been disposed of, like that failed hit he was, now we look forward. Never mind every man in that locker room and every person in the audience and every miserable human being walking at home. Just when that pyro hits and walk starts kicking into the arena, you're You're seeing just another wrestler. You're watching the man who carried the company, wanted to know who it was. You're watching the man who defined Wednesday nights before there was even a brand split. You're watching the one wrestler in the business today. You're watching Mr. Wednesday Night. You're watching Mr. Pay-Per-View. You're watching Mr. Revolution. And whoever it is, Monty Brown, Eddy Guerrero, AJ Styles, Paul London, Kurt Angle, whoever, you better stop checking your review because the Van Terminator is coming back. And then Rob Jam steps and says, it's kind of funny. For a while, people act like I disappeared or something. Like, well, I wasn't still out there kicking people's heads off. For another week, I'm still the best athlete in this company. That's cool because I let him talk. I let Paul handle the contracts. Suits the strategy because I only need one thing, the ring. You put me in that ring, I'm going to steal the show. You put me in that ring, I'm going to outclass everybody. You put me in the ring, I'm going to remind everybody what it exactly it means to be the whole effing show. Halloween Havoc, that was a message. Not just to Heyman's little black book of enemies. Not just the fans who cheered when I got dropped or booed when I fought back. That was a reminder. I'm the future. I'm the future, I'm the present. I'm the damn standard. AJ Styles, you're a good man. You got some smooth moves and you hit hard, but you're not me. Monty Brown, alpha male, cool name, bro. But I've been leaving bodies in the ring before you started throwing pounces. Eddy Guerrero, I know what you're about. Holmes, the lies, you steals, and I still outshine you every night. So whoever ends up with the title, I'm still here. I mean, make no mistake, this isn't bragging. This is a promise. This is a declaration. This man is going to be back where he belongs, at the top of the card, fighting for the Super World Champion sooner or later. And Rob Van Dam says, if anybody has a problem with that, there's plenty of time between now and my next title shot to get your ass kicked. Rob Van Dam. 82, solid promo as we sort of build things, after the little feud with Don Fry is over. And we have, honestly, I'm actually just threw together here, like, Rey and Chavo, like, we're sort of, like, putting them in as a quasi-team, at least just for a couple weeks here. 1%ers, we're not moving them away from the Thrillers, but, like, no Riven Rain, no, like, no mention of the Thrillers. They come out, they take on Rey and Chavo, and they do the job here as Chavo eventually gets the win with the Frog Splash. Fun match, Rey and Chavo get to play face and peril, Dyson Havoc gets to throw them around, and get some in-ring time. But basically, this is just, like, not a quasi-squash, but, like, just a competitive, but a solid win for Rey and Chavo. Wrestling rating of 76, crowd rating of 72, overall rating of 76. Chavo gets a 70, Rey gets a 94, Havoc gets a 65, and Dice gets a 76. And post-match, Chavo and Rey celebrate to a 70. Then, after that, we're backstage as Amy Weber is with Celine Cartier. And, Amy Weber asking about, beating, Joanie Laurer with help from Kiana Khaos. And Celine's like, Amy, keep asking these questions. She called, it doesn't matter what happened to Halloween Havoc because I've beaten Joanie Laurer. 1, 2, 3. Still your women's champion. But you see, Kiana Khaos didn't cost me anything. She helped me win because I remember winning. That's what I do. It's what I've always done. Whether it's Joanie, Gail Kim, Angel Foxx, or anybody else the fans want to hype up, Celine Cartier wins always. Because, you see, a true champion doesn't show up with a champ on her shoulder and expect to be handed a throne. She earns it. I earn this every match, every setback. Everybody who said I wasn't ready, that I was not the same level of women like Joanie Laurer, Trisha Sky, or others from other places. See, Joanie called herself the Evolution from Revolution. That was cute. But let's be honest, shall we? She's the past. I'm the standard. I'm the world champion. And whoever doesn't like it, they're going to find out real quick. Just because you can get a big moment of your own or win a match or two, it doesn't mean you can carry this title. Because see, I've wrestled monsters before. I've beaten monsters before. I've wrestled Techno Masters. I've wrestled so-called legends. So if anyone wants to come for the title, so be it. But she's going to happen. But she's going to learn. But anyone who gets in my way is going to learn what happens when you face Cartier, Celeste Levier. 65, not a bad, as you don't have a clear number one contender yet. And then we get a quick little promo taped at the pay-per-view as we see Alexa Polite in the background holding both women's tag team shoulders, both tag titles on her shoulders. And, we see Allie Danger stepping in with her black cane. And Allie Danger says, told you, didn't we? We said it. We told you. We warned you. And still, everybody walking that ring had a chance. You saw what happens when you don't listen. You get hurt. You get embarrassed. You get left in heat while the two of us stand tall with the gold. We came to the ring tonight with one mission, to show that we cannot be ignored. And now, every woman in WCW has been put on notice. We didn't speak out of fluke. We didn't win by accident. We conquered. Social scene already broken. European News Union exposed. Fox and Alexander gone. We out-wrestled them. We outsmarted them, outclassed them. And now we were at the chapter in this division when where fear returns, one where violence reigns, one where we decide how long these titles stay here. Because you don't earn a shot at us. You survive long enough to be offered one. Because you're not stepping in the ring with a team. You're stepping with a force. When forging chaos, sharpen the shadows, and baptized in blood. You'll find out what happens when the hunters become the champions. We're not going anywhere in this gold. This stays with us for as long as it wants to, what we want it to. 54, not bad. It looks like looks scary, and Allie Danger, gets to cut a promo. And then we come back for commercial as AJ Styles' music hits, and he comes out to a ring to a big old pop from the crowd. As, the crowd chants. And, AJ takes the mic and says, you ever sit back and think how things change? How one minute you're on top of the world, and the next you're the guy people don't even mention anymore. A year ago, almost a year ago, I walked in the Starcade and walked out the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And I said the words, I'm the face of this place, and I believed it, every word. And then, for months, I gave none of the silence all comers, and then came back to the beach. Monty rounded me off the mail. He ran through me like a freight train and took my title. No excuses, no complaints. He earned it. He beat me. And I stared at the ceiling for hours that night. No sleep, no TV, just silence. Because I had to accept something. Being great doesn't mean being unstoppable in this business. Sometimes your best isn't good enough. So I did what I've always done. I got that back to work. I rebuilt. I refocused. Then came Mayhem, the call shot match. A match to reclaim everything. I was this close to winning. But instead, Eddy Guerrero grabs that briefcase and climbs that ladder. And suddenly, it wasn't my moment anymore. It was his. And from that moment on, Eddie's back to me like this is still his company. Like I don't exist. Like everything I've done doesn't mean a damn thing. Was it real? Eddy Guerrero, you're one of the best to ever do it. I don't dispute that. When I first got here, I looked up to men like Eddie. I watched his matches in Japan, in ECW, and down here, and even up north. But somewhere along the way, Eddie stopped being the guy everyone respected and turned the guy who ducks fights and hides behind his briefcase. So let's go ahead and run it down. Drew Macias and I have a match in Revolution. Eddie cost me the match. Halloween Havoc. I walk the match with Ray Penn, who shuts up Eddy Guerrero. Interference, distraction, boom, I lose. Now here's the bar to get me. I didn't start this. I didn't pick this fight. I didn't jump Eddie. I didn't steal the spotlight. I didn't run my mouth. All I did was ask for my spot, a fair shot, and said I get cheap shots. So when I showed up on Nitro a few days ago, it wasn't to jump the line. It wasn't to play politics. It was to make sure Eddie finally heard me. But I waited until the match was over. I didn't cost anyone to win. I didn't take anything away, unlike Eddie. So now I'm done waiting. I'm done watching. I'm done sitting on the same sidelines. Tonight here I'm laying on all out. I want one thing. I'm going to say it loud and clear, Eddy Guerrero. I want you. I want you one-on-one at Bound for Glory. Not just for pride, not just for payback. No. I want what you've been clutching ever since Mayhem. I want that called shot. You say you're the best wrestler on the planet. Prove it. You say I'm not on your level. Prove it. Put that briefcase on the line. Stop the ring with the man you've been running for months now. Let's find if you're still the man. Let's find out if the face that runs the place can take down Guerrero. Unfortunately, not the best promo. 78 for his entrance, 70 for the promo. Still 76 overall, but yeah. Unfortunately, AJ's not quite the promo he was in TEW 20 and TEW 9, but he's still pretty good. So, it is what it is. And then we get a Cash on his own in the backstage. And, he says, let's not waste time tonight. Tonight's simple. Tonight's my moment. Fatal 4-way main event. No one can respect for Bound for Glory. And who I have against who? Let's run it down. Jack Evans. Yeah, you've hit a few moves. Did some flips, but was real Jack. You look someone glued a mop to a pogo stick. You got lucky a few times this year, but luck runs out, especially when you're in the ring with someone like me. I hit harder. I move faster. And I know what it takes to get the job done. I'm not going to be part of some flippy kid's highlight reel. Next, Kurt Angle. Oh boy, Olympic hero, wrestling machine. Kurt, I ain't gonna lie, you've done a lot. But guess what? This ain't the Olympics. This ain't clean wrestling match in front of some judges in Atlanta. This is Revolution. This is where guys like me, guys who start from the bottom, who offer every single second of TV time, take what's ours. You've had your moments. Now it's my time. Then there's Keenan Sharpe. Now you can be some new age cult freak who talks in riddles and eyes like he's slept in 6 months. I ain't scared of philosophy. I ain't scared of your little age of enlightenment. I'm from the age of knock your teeth out and collect the check. But let me tell you something, Zen Master. You get in a ring. Ain't no cosmic waking going to save you from this ass whipping. You're not mysterious. You're not deep. You're just weird. And weird doesn't win titles. I do. Because I'm here to walk over anyone standing in the way of gold. And tonight, Cashin just walking in confidence. He's walking around with Ticket of Mine for Glory. And Bounty Brown, I hope you're watching because I'm a contender. Your next, Sarah Grady, ain't ready for this level of flash of flurry. I'm money, and tonight, you're going to have to call me something else. Number one contender. Solid promo, 75, setting things up for the main event. The McCain versus Austin Aries. Fun match. Obviously the crowd never really bought that Aries was going to win. But a fun little match here. A little under 8 minutes. Aries gets his moves in, but eventually Kane takes over. Super kick, flatliner, cannon cutter, right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. Wrestling rating of 72, crowd rating of 69, over rating of 80. Kane gets a 78, Aries gets a 67. Fun match, but basically just a quasi squash. From everybody how great Kanyon is. Then Kanyon takes the mic, and he says, "You know what? I should be out here ecstatic. I should be jumping up and down, celebrating the fact that I just knocked off the so-called fastest ride in terms of business with the King right in the ring. I should be out here still buzzing from War Games, where me, Angle, London, Evans, and Hardy made good on a year from hell from the thrillers, and finally shut the hell up. Sean Hare tapped out like a little bitch. I watched Kat wrap that angle up so tight, I thought it was a top like toothpick. Matt Hardy took that twist of fate from Matt, Chuck Palumbo, Kid Cutter courtesy of me, Dyson Havoc, flying it over thanks to Ellen Evans. We all did that. The Revolution. I'll be proud of that for a long time. But there's one thing that's still letting me, Chuck Palumbo. You see, Chucky and I, we go way back. Wars, titles, all the stuff, you name it. We've been teammates, we've been enemies, but then, with the thrillers, he tried to take me out, once and for all, and I came back, and I need to take me out just on a match. He might take me out, steel chairs, concertos, you name it. But every little time I try to get my hands on him in that ring, something else has come up. First it was Don Fry getting involved, and then it was little buddies, O'Hare, Drag Dice, Havoc, all of them, always some watches back. That's what War Games was made for, to get past that, to beat the unit, and we did. But you know what, that ain't enough, because as great as that match was, as sweet as it was to watch O'Hare tap, I still haven't got what I wanted for a year. Old Chucky in that ring one-on-one. So now we're past teams, we're past War Games, we're past excuses, not Revolution versus Thrillers anymore. This is about you and me, Palumbo, about everything you did, every cheap shot, every attack, every chair shot. It's about being left in a pool of my own blood. And now, I want you to come down this ramp, stand across from me, and give me what I'm asking for months. Me and you in this ring. Because I don't care if you think you're a thriller, I don't care if you're a thriller, I don't care you're a former world champion. Because to me, you're just a man who forgot what happens when you cross a man like Kanyon. So wherever you are right now, Palumbo, backstage in a hotel room, watching at home with your little cow with Raven Rain feeding you protein shakes, I don't give a damn because I ain't going away. I don't keep showing up. I don't keep walking out here, and I don't keep reminding the whole damn world there's one thing that's never changed. One thing's always been true. Who's better than Kanyon? Crowd says nobody, and Kanyon is damn right. Really good promo, 93. And then our Nitro recap focusing on AJ Styles coming up to save Ken Anderson. This gets a 72. Then we get, before the 4-way, Monty Brown coming down the ringside. And then our main event, okay, 85. Honestly, about what I expected. So this is, of course, a wild-ass, 4-way. Angle gets some suplexes, Sharpe takes people down, Evans flies away, Cash gets to play, bully Cruiserweight against Jack Evans. Him and Sharpe scrap a little bit. Him and Angle have some back and forths. Angle gets a near fall, late in the match with a big Olympic slam on Cash. But Jack Evans hits a big spin stunt to break it up. Angle and Evans have a nice little face versus face series, but Evans eats a few suplexes. It looks like Angle's going to get the win. He locks on the ankle lock on Cash. Sharpe comes out of nowhere, knocks him out of the ring. Um, and then, as Angle is ready to get up, Sharpe knocks him down in the ring. Cash goes for the moneymaker on Evans. Evans, backdrops out of him. Hits a big Pele kick. It hits a big Rana. Goes up top. And as Sharpe holds Angle down, Evans hits the corkscrew 630. Boom. 1, 2. Angle can't break it up. 3. And Jack Evans is your number contender going to Bound for Glory. Wrestling rating of 86, crowd rating of 81, over rating of 85. Cash gets a 77, Jack Evans gets a 92, Angle gets a 97, Keenan Sharpe gets a 79. And the show ends with Evans celebrating in the show as Angle is pissed on the outside and Sharpe backs away, pleased at his actions. Will Marty surveys the scene. This gets a 75. And overall, the show itself gets an 86. We made 1.5 million. Gains a pop. And there we go. It's Kaylin Croft. Yeah, we've got some bidding wars happening, unfortunately. Tamon Honda is your locker room leader. And yeah, we got lots of people, which I'll deal with later. It's unfortunate. Lots of money being spent. Anyway, OVW had a big show. Let's see, Danny Peter defeating Sean Casey. Defeating the OVW Heavyweight Champion. Stapleton defeated Russ Haas and Chris Rambola. Let's see here. Shaggy Two-Boat still there. Roy Fox is still there. Evelyn Chambers is still there. Gabby Galvez is still there. Yeah, interesting. Stampede Wrestling had Alex Rain defeating Kevin Steen. I'm sure that latter guy will do nothing in this business. And Wrestling in Mexico City had some people. Let's see here. Yeah, we had some. There's some contracts coming up. Also, Jack Evans thinks Kiana Khaos is money, so there we go. Anyway, regardless, if we go to WWE for SmackDown, they had let's see here, Rhino defeating Crash Holly in a 79, Sheer defeating Farouk in a WCW match, I guess. Albert squashing Laz, Scott Steiner defeated Tony Mamaluke, Justice defeating Tommy Dreamer. Then we had 3 big matches as Bailey Guns, Skyfall, Kaya Blyon, and Shawn Michaels defeated John Cena, Chris Benoit, and Christian in 94. Then in the main event, Brock Lesnar and Rikishi defeated The Big Show and All Money Aaron Cartwright, aka Cream. Cash Roll Everything Around Me. So there you go. If we look around at our dev feds, let's see here, NWA Wildside. TV show had Hot Stuff Hernandez and TJ Perkins in one of his last matches before coming up, and Morgan Phoenix and Jason Cross defeated Duarte, Onyx, and Stallings. Yeah. And we had the weekly house show. Matt Morgan and Paul Bortel defeated Rod Duarte and Brett Major. And we also had Burke, Danielson, and Cross defeated Hoyt, Onyx, and Stallings. And we had John Feast do TJ Perkins. So there we go. For American Wrestling Queens, we had, let's see here, I think I showed you guys this. So yeah, only thing you didn't see is Ladies Night last week, which was Tracy Taylor defeated Sarah Del Rey. Amy Sakura defeated Catherine Mendoza. Ashley Lane, Trinisha Biggers, and Michelle McCool defeated Carly Chambers, Josie, and Annette Blanchard. And Portia Perez defeated Madison Sinclair. So there we go as far as that goes. And if we look around the wrestling world, since Revolution last week, let's see here. Anyway, Puerto Rico had a big show. Perry Saturn defeated Shane Sewell in the main event in a 55. Julio Estrada defeated Jesus Kilo Jr. D'Lo Brown and Ernest Miller are still there. Harris Brothers defeated Demon and Spellbinder in what was probably a very bad match, 38. And yeah, that's about it as far as stuff people care about. Impact Wrestling, Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger defeated Todd Second and Marcus Militech. Alex Shelley is still your Impact X champion. Carson X defeated Alexander Exican. And Jerry Lynn defeated Pat Buck. So there we go. FIP had a big show, managed by Buff Bagler versus Ice Train. Jerry Sags is your FIP champion. yikes, not exactly the quasi-indie it turned into. We went over, let's see, CZW had a big show. Reno and Justice Pain was the main event, defeated Rick Blade and Amazing Red. Boss Money won a bald wire match over Brewster Mastino. The Wall defeated Nick Gage in a first blood match. Profit defeated John Zagdig in a first blood match. And Marcus Hansen defeated Brian Lee and Chris Devine in a barbed wire match for the tag titles. Fun stuff. We had the King of the Indies. So in the first round, we had Mike Anderson defeat Scoot Andrews. Michael Moss defeated Al Perez. Frankie Kazarian defeated Jonathan Morgan. Max Jackson defeated Matt Jackson by DQ. So we had Mike Anderson defeat Frankie Kazarian. Michael Moss defeated Super Dragon. Okay, so I guess Super Dragon defeated Phoenix Star. Max Jackson was not involved. And then we had in the main event, Michael Modest defeating Mike Henderson to win the King of the Indies title in beautiful Arizona. And I believe that is it. Yeah. So, that's it for now. The road to Bound for Glory continues, along with lots of contract signings. That's for now. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and give it a like, comment below what you're liking, and of course, our channel for plenty of TW9 content, mainly the series at the moment. But that's it for now. So talk later, and adios. Have a good one. Bye-bye.